had a very beneficial relationship with Bangladesh, the Jamaat-e-Islami and other pro-Pakistan, radically Islamist kind of forces which have always been present in Bangladesh. Our relations with Bangladesh have been a little testy over the years. Sheikh Hasina understood that she had a lot more to gain in cooperation with India than in getting into a conflictual relationship with India. There will be problems on our eastern front. We already have problems on our western front with Pakistan, but there have been reports that the Pakistani ISI chief has visited Bangladesh recently. Pakistan and Bangladesh cooperating against terror. I don't know which world these guys are living in. Relations between India and Bangladesh, going downhill very, very fast. So Bangladesh clearly has a serious identity crisis, not able to decide who its father is. When the agitation against the Sheikh Hasina government started last year, there were apprehensions in India that if there is some kind of a regime change, then what it would mean for India. We had a very beneficial relationship with Bangladesh, a mutually beneficial relationship, but it could all be jeopardized if the anti-India forces in Bangladesh, which have always been present, even at the time of the birth of Bangladesh, those forces were present in the form of the Jamaat-e-Islami and other pro-Pakistan, radically Islamist kind of forces which have always been present in Bangladesh, which have always existed in that region and have always had a kind of a conflict or an ideological kind of a problem with the forces in Bangladesh or elements in Bangladesh that have looked towards a greater cooperation and a mutually beneficial relationship with India. So that has always been the case insofar as Bangladesh is concerned. Our relations with Bangladesh have been a little testy over the years, but when Sheikh Hasina's last government came into power in 2009, the relationship between India and Bangladesh went to the next level, in large part because Sheikh Hasina understood that she had a lot more to gain in cooperation with India than in getting into a conflictual relationship with India, number one. Number two, she also realized that all that she needed to do was to address India's security concerns, and many of them emanated from a kind of a perversity that has always existed in Bangladesh, which meant that they would give support and sanctuary to Indian separatists, to terrorists in India who were operating in India. They were giving sustenance and support to radical Islamist groups which were also active in India. They were hobnobbing with Pakistan, and all of this was being done in collaboration with Pakistan. Incidentally, in Bangladesh, there have always been forces that, while they wanted autonomy or a kind of an independence, but the mindset in Bangladesh has always been, of East Pakistan, in at least among a large section of the population. I won't say an overwhelming majority, but a large section. And as the Pakistani mindset has got radicalized, so too has the Bangladeshi mindset. And in that sense, these guys are kind of clones of each other. In fact, you will see a lot more radicals on the streets of Bangladesh than probably you will see on the streets of Pakistan. Perhaps because Pakistan has started understanding how badly it has backfired and ruined their image. In Bangladesh, probably these guys are still, getting to a point where, it's still not backfired as badly as it has in Pakistan. So maybe that's the reason why they have a lot more visibility in Bangladesh and have had, although Sheikh Hasina had suppressed some of these guys for about 15 years, but now they all seem to have come out of the woodwork. For India, the concern has always been that if rabidly anti-India forces take power in Bangladesh, as seems to have happened after the violent ouster of Sheikh Hasina, there will be problems on our eastern front. We already have problems on our western front with Pakistan, but now we will have problems on our eastern front, problems which had been sorted out for at least the last 15-16 years, because the Bangladeshi authorities had pulled their hands from out from supporting some of the anti-India groups that were based in Bangladesh. But as soon as the so-called Nobel laureates regime, illegal regime, has assumed power and has been backed by organizations like the Jamaat-e-Islami, by radical Islamist groups, some of them with reported links with international terror organizations. As soon as these guys have grabbed power in Bangladesh, we've seen that old stereotype of Bangladesh re-emerge, where there are these attacks on the minority community. These are people who define their identity in terms of their opposition to India, as though they had no other identity of their own. It's only in relationship to India. So that element seems to have grabbed power. Now for India, the matters have started becoming even more concerning because of the alacrity with which Pakistan has jumped into this field. There have been recent reports, they are not confirmed, I must add, but there have been reports that the Pakistani ISI chief has visited Bangladesh recently, and there have been some confabulations going on between the DGFI in Bangladesh and the DGISI of Pakistan, and India is concerned, or should be concerned, that if these two organizations are now going to start collaborating and cooperating, then that is going to be directed against India, which means that our eastern front is going to reopen, and we will see a flow of terror coming in from Bangladesh, number one. Number two, we will see Bangladesh once again under Pakistani patronage start backing and supporting some of the separatist groups in the northeast. So there are these very serious concerns which seem to be re-emerging. Now, as soon as Sheikh Hasina's government had been overthrown by the violent protesters on the streets, Pakistan immediately jumped into the fray. I think the Pakistanis did a smart thing because they realized that there has always been this element in Bangladesh which has been inimical to India, and it was that element which had grabbed power by overthrowing Sheikh Hasina's government. And this was the time that Pakistan could make an outreach to these people and try and get back into Bangladesh, if for no other reason. Pakistan really has nothing to offer Bangladesh. They keep talking about trade and commerce and cooperation, etc., etc., security cooperation, anti-terror cooperation, for God's sakes. Pakistan and Bangladesh cooperating against terror, I don't know which world these guys are living in, but the fact is that behind all this nice verbiage lies an inimical design to target India. So Pakistan jumped into the act. The Bangladeshi authorities, the new ones, immediately reciprocated, and over the last 4-5 months we have seen the relationship move rather fast, much more than expected. What we have seen is, and for Pakistan, it made sense. They realized that there is this highly Islamized part of Bangladeshi society, which kind of makes common cause with Pakistan against India, and that lot had grabbed power, and this was like almost like a God-given opportunity to Pakistan to jump into the fray, which is exactly what they have done, tapping into that reservoir of Islamists, radicals, deeply imbued with hatred for Hindus and enmity towards India. And we've seen some of the steps which have been taken by these two authorities seem to be pointing into the direction of exactly what India was fearing might start unfolding in Bangladesh. So, what the Pakistanis have done is that they not only reached out, they have started offering scholarships. There are these trade delegations going from Bangladesh to Pakistan and Pakistan to Bangladesh. The Bangladeshi authorities have taken some steps which should worry India. So, for example, there was this regulation that any Pakistani goods coming into Bangladesh was subjected to very strict inspection, so that no contraband, drugs or weapons or other such contraband could be shipped into Bangladesh from Pakistan. There was a very tight visa regime that had been imposed on Pakistan because most Pakistanis who went to Bangladesh, there was an apprehension that among them could be people who would enter Bangladesh and then infiltrate into India, and we've had plenty of instances of those kind. So these two guardrails, if you will, had been ripped off by Bangladesh. We saw the first container ships going into Bangladesh from Pakistan, direct trade between Pakistan and Bangladesh. There is talk of a direct air link between Dhaka and Pakistan, which means that if terrorists have to go, then they don't need to take a circuitous route, and they can fly directly from Pakistan to Bangladesh, and monitoring their movement will become much more difficult than if they were to go through a third country. So these are steps which the Bangladeshis took. There has been the visit of a very senior Bangladeshi military official to Pakistan. Unlike the ISI chief's visit to Bangladesh, or purported or reported visit to Bangladesh, the visit of the Bangladeshi military officer PSO in the GHQ to Pakistan has been highly publicized by Pakistan, and apparently they have spoken about security cooperation, anti-terror cooperation, which I spoke about earlier. They've spoken about how this relationship has to be protected from any interference from any third country, which basically was a pointer at India. The Bangladeshis and Pakistanis are discussing military training for Bangladeshi army in Pakistan, maybe a detachment of Pakistan army going to Bangladesh to train. There is talk of Bangladesh expressing interest in a joint fighter developed by Pakistan and China, the JF-17. So this is at the there is also talk of maritime and naval cooperation. So this has been happening over the last 3 or 4 months. Around the same time, what we've seen is tensions along the border with India, relations between India and Bangladesh, going downhill very, very fast. We've seen members of the cabinet or people who are advisors to the so-called chief advisor make statements about annexing parts of India. These are people who are believed to have links with international terror organizations like the Hizb ut-Tahrir. Now these are guys who are part of the government in Bangladesh. There are Islamists who are part of the government in Bangladesh, rabid Islamists, I must add. And what we are seeing is a kind of a complete change in the polity in Bangladesh. So, for example, for the first time in many years, Bangladesh celebrated the birth anniversary of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The interesting part is that Bangladesh, which came into existence in 1971, isn't able to decide who its father is. So, apparently at this particular event to commemorate Jinnah's anniversary, it was said that Jinnah was the true father of Bangladesh. There are some Bangladeshis who feel that their father is actually Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and still others who feel that it's probably General Ziaur Rahman. So, Bangladesh clearly has a serious identity crisis, not able to decide who its father is. I think I should leave it out there. But the fact of the matter remains that this is something which is going to be a big problem for India going forward. Now, from an Indian perspective, what is equally important is that Bangladesh, we haven't yet given up on Bangladesh. We still feel that there is a large section of the Bangladeshi population which isn't inimical to India, and that any kind of a knee-jerk reaction right now would not serve India well. But I think things are reaching a pass, and rather fast, where probably the gloves will have to start coming off. What is also important is the fact that the Bangladeshis do not seem to understand that India did not have much of a choice. If there is a government in Bangladesh, what do? Do we oppose that government or do we support that government? And I think the policy of the government of India has been that whoever or whichever is the government in Bangladesh, India will have to do business with it, which was exactly the case of what we were doing with Sheikh Hasina. The fact that Sheikh Hasina on herself, for herself, realized that getting into a good relationship with India will work very well for her own country is something which seems to have gone over the heads of most of her detractors. The fact remains that the Bangladesh economy did much better over the last 15 years than it has done ever in its history. The fact is that the India-Bangladesh cooperation served the interests of Bangladesh as much as it served India's interests. So, this was a mutually beneficial relationship, and the Bangladeshis need to ask themselves that if they want to get into a conflict with India, how does that help them? How does that improve their lives? How does that improve their country's stability? And this is the question they need to ask themselves. They also need to ask themselves that are they better off in having a friendly, cooperative relationship with India, or are they better off dealing with a basket case like Pakistan, which is internationally competitive in only two things. They are world leaders in polio and they are world leaders in export of terrorism. Now, if that is the game Bangladesh wants to play, they are most welcome to try it out. It's not going to help this current regime very much, and clearly there will be a time when the kind of policies that these people have been following are going to backfire on Bangladesh. But that is something which is not something that India needs to look forward to, because the impact of that will also be on India. But I think the time is running out, because the patience in India is also kind of starting to run a little thin with the kind of antics that the Bangladeshis are doing, especially deliberate provocative acts aimed at needling India, poking India in the eye, simply trying to show that Bangladesh has agency. We all know Bangladesh has agency. We all know Bangladesh has is a sovereign country and can decide for itself. But I think it's important for the Bangladeshis not to forget that India also has agency. India is also a sovereign country, and if our interests are not going to match with Bangladesh's interests, then there will be consequences of that. Consequences not just for India, but even worse consequences for Bangladesh. But I suppose when countries work themselves up into a psychosis, as Bangladesh seems to have done, good sense does not dawn upon them until something really bad happens. One hopes that it does not happen, but frankly speaking, it doesn't look that things are going to go down very well moving forward between India and Bangladesh.